Hi friends, welcome back to my sunroom. My name is Barb. This is my channel where I talk about cross stitch. I also talk about quilting, crochet, cooking, books, dogs, cats, grandchildren, life, the neighborhood, lots of things. You're very welcome here, and I do know that I have some new friends, and oh, I am so excited for that. I've surpassed the 50 friends on my account here, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm glad that you're here. Feel free to hang around. I'm just probably going to chat a lot today. I did miss last week, and the reason I didn't have anything to show you that I stitched because there's something else that I've been working on. So today is probably going to be like one of those days when I was teaching at the college and I would walk into the classroom on a Friday and my students would be blank-eyed, staring off into space. And I taught 4 levels. I taught freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. And I taught in the community health area. So I was teaching students how to be community health educators. So we talked about disease prevention and methods for developing learning programs, research methods, all this good stuff. So by the time Friday came, they were, right? So there were times that I would walk in and I would say, let's forego the lesson for today. Let's just talk. Let's pick a topic. Had to be kind of health related in some way, shape, or form, because, you know, that's also something that health educators need to do, is be up on the topics going around. So, so there were times that, you know, I would have students that would be engaged, and then other times they would just be sitting there just waiting for the clock to end, because, you know, a lot of students, I taught at a local college here, so a lot of students lived down on Long Island, New York City area. So sometimes they were just heading back home for the weekend and they just wanted to be, right? They just wanted to go. So anyway, that's what today is going to be for me. I really don't have much stitching to show. I have one piece to show. I don't even have any finishes or fully finishes, but I have other things. So I hope you're going to stick around for a little bit and just chit chat with me. I always appreciate my followers who like and subscribe. Even new friends, if you're stopping by, please hit the subscribe button. Even like the video. I would love if you leave me a comment, and I also include my email in the description box. And I have received some very nice emails from some new friends, so please feel free. I am a local quilter here in my area, so I do long arm for clients. And if you have any quilting questions, you know what? Email them to me. That's great. I would love to help you out. So let me get started. I didn't even write my list for today as to what I want to talk about. It's funny, I was watching So Me Sarah last night, and she's so calm when she speaks, and she's so organized, and she could be a newscaster, I think. She's so good. And she's, and Karen, recovering monogamous stitcher, they always know what they want to talk about. And me, I write things down and then I'm all over the place. That's me. That's my life. I hop from one task to another. So that's what we're going to do today. Esther is here. She's over here behind me, right here. She is peeking out the window. I am sure there are some birds flitting around here. I do have a really pretty lilac bush that is starting to bud right out the window here, and the birds do kind of light. They like to light on that bush. So let me get started. Let me actually talk to you about what I have been stitching. Now, I've mentioned the Temperature Quaker before, and honestly, that's really the only thing that I have picked up in the past couple of weeks. And I'm already a good week and a half behind on it because, as I said, I've been doing something else, and I'm going to show those to you in a moment. So I've been working on that Temperature Quaker, and I will put the information for it in the box below. It is by Stitch and Mommy, and I did get it off of Etsy. And it's turning out really, really nicely because now we are starting to have some warmer temperatures where I'm bringing in some yellows and some lighter blues into the design. Now, There are a lot of people that like to stitch Quakers, and I am one. And I was watching the Primrose ladies yesterday, and Lindsay had said she feels the same about Quakers because when you finish a motif, you feel like you've finished something. And that's what I like about stitching Quakers. And oh goodness, I really, really do enjoy them. So I will put the information for the temperature Quaker in the box below if you're interested in doing something like that. It is a year-long project, and basically what you do is you take either the high temperature or the average temperature for your area for that particular day, and you just stitch those stitches. So basically, yes, it's a year-long project, but it goes quickly. So I worked on that, and then I was talking to my stitchy friend Cindy, and she was saying how she is going to be starting a Plum Street design soon. Now, I've mentioned this before, and I'm going to say it again. At the end of the month, I will be at Hobby House Needleworks. They are hosting Plum Street and Heartstring Samplery at the Woodcliff in Rochester. It's Pittsford, so it's very close to Rochester, and I will be attending, and I know some of my new friends are going to be there, so we need to meet up. Okay, so if you are going to that retreat, first of all, there is a Facebook group, a private group that David and Kathy have set up for the retreat attendees. So I've been chatting with a lot of people there. If you are going, I will be arriving Thursday afternoon because I need time to shop. I got to go to Hobby House and pick up all my market orders. Honestly, I have to sit down and make a list because I just kept ordering stuff. And I said, I'll pick it up when I'm there. I'll pick it up when I'm there. I don't remember everything I ordered. So I'm going to have to make a list. And I am quite sure Hobby House has everything for me. So it's going to be a surprise when I look in the bag and say, oh, I forgot I ordered that. So anyway, I started a Heartstring Samplery piece last night. And I'm excited for it. Now, I also have a Plum Street that I'm going to start tonight. This is, I've had these kitted. I put my glasses on because I can't see. Hang on. Let me get my glasses, which is actually a t-shirt my son, daughter-in-law, and grandchildren gave me for Christmas. She had it made for me. I love it. Okay, so this is called the Fairy Coffee Mother, and this is part of the Magical Elixir series. It's part 3 from Heartstring Samplery. Trying to make sure that you don't see the glare. Now, anything coffee, my friends. I am a coffee snob. I earned that title, and I'm very proud of it. I drink Colombian coffee. I grind my own beans. And prior to COVID, BC, before COVID, I used to buy green beans and roast them. I do have a coffee roaster. It's a small one, you know, tabletop coffee roaster. But oh man, let me tell you, except now it's very hard to get green beans, especially from the place that I was normally purchasing them. And of course, purchasing them online, it's a little difficult because you're never really sure what you're going to get. So I, of course, forgot to bring my board in here. So what I'm going to do, I want to make sure I don't show the pattern because it's actually on the other side of this book here. I'm just going to clip this on here. In all honesty, I wasn't even sure if I was going to film today, and finally I said, you know what, just do it before I go downstairs and get started. So this is where I'm at. I have that complete border done. Yes, I keep my needle in. I just do it. I've done it forever and ever and ever, and I am okay with that. So I have the border done, and of course last night when I was working on it, counting is hard, so I had to unpick. And then I was so tired last night, but I said, you know what? Nope, I'm going to get all of that around just so that I know I'm in the right spot. So I will today Well, I'm going to start this other one here tonight, but the next step on my pattern here, what I'm going to do, if you can see the little green leaves by the coffee beans, that's what I'm going to be putting in next. I'm going to be working with that green. Now, I am stitching this on 28 count. It looks like Sunrise Sandcastle, and it's a Leo and Roxy linen. It's very pretty. It has very gentle modeling in it. Let's see if I can hold it up again. Maybe the light in here, probably not, but you can see some of the modeling right here. Now, I was cautious when I cut this piece because I do have I am using the called for colors, and one of the colors here is a little bit lighter, and I wanted to make sure that where I stitch that, let's see if I can actually put white behind it, where I want to stitch, and it's part of her face. It's part of her face and her arms and that. So I laid the floss out and adjusted when I cut my linen here. So it should be around in this area, and it's a little bit darker, and the floss should show up in a nice manner. If not, I'm not going to worry about it, right? What I did end up doing last night, and I generally don't like to stitch with hoops, but I do have to on this because of the linen. I just ordered some extra hoops last night. I don't care for the Nurge hoops. So I just found some on, the site that everybody uses, Amazon, and just have some plain. I like the tension hoops, so I have some of those coming. So here are the rest of the colors. And I do love this, and I do have a few more of the pieces from this series. I am going to have to double check and see exactly all of what I have. And hopefully I can pick up the rest at the retreat, because I'm quite sure, I would say that they're going to also have stands, but then of course there's always Hobby House, right? So that is one piece that I started last night. And then of course I can't leave out Plum Street. Now this I have kitted. I'm going to take it out of the plastic here and see if we can see it a little bit better. This is Welcome All Hearts Home. And I know it's more of a Christmas piece. This is the piece. Turn it like this. But what I was looking at, I really like this. I really, really like this. And I would like to have this done for the holidays. I would like to put all of my family's initials, just their first initial, somewhere, just small. All of my kids, my daughters-in-law, and my grandchildren. I'm going to try to figure out where I can put those in. But I just really love this. And I've had it kitted. And I am using the called for floss, overdyes, I should say. And then I am using a linen, and let me just see if I have my tag on here. And of course I do. Hollis Hands Create. This is 32 count paper bark fox and rabbit. So it's a very light linen. It's very pretty, very lightly modeled, very lightly modeled. And I believe that the colors on it they're just going to be so pretty. So I'm looking forward to starting that. Even if I just get my fabric prepped, cutting the fabric that I need, overcasting my edges, and just having things ready, maybe marking where I want to start. Now, usually for me, I start up in the upper left. And you know what? I watched somebody new last night. And I know part of her name was Two Martinis. Erin, I believe her name is. And I really got a kick out of her because I wanted to leave her a message and say, girl, we could be friends, because she's all over the place. And I'm the same. I am the same. But she also says that when she stitches, she rolls her fabric. She starts from the left. I do the same. I will on linen, especially on this Plum Street. I'm probably going to put it in a hoop. And now that I'm thinking of it, with those hoops not being delivered until Sunday, I might end up waiting until Sunday before I get this going. But on linens, especially when they're flimsy, I do stitch in a hoop because I can't control my tension as well as I can when I'm stitching on Aida or Lugana. Now, I've mentioned before, I have been a seamstress. I have been sewing since I was 12 years old. And that's a couple of years. I'm very good with tension. I made wedding dresses. I've sewn on lace appliques and beads and everything else. So I'm very confident that my tension with my hand sewing is good. But when it comes to linen, I prefer to just stitch in a hoop. So those are the only two, well, actually only one project that I've actually stitched on aside from the Temperature Quaker. So you say, Barb, well, what have you been doing? Okay, so I told you about the retreat. Now, I understand that we are going to have 10 people at our table, and I like to bring little gifts. It's not required. I do know that they are not having a smalls exchange, but I do like to have gifts for the table. And at retreats that I've been to in the past, and I haven't been to that many, so don't think like I'm this, know all of retreats, because I'm not. But at one particular retreat, we did have ladies at the table, and they left early. So I want to make sure that if I have gifts, if we have somebody new coming to the table, I want to have something. So what have I been doing? You're all going to just roll your eyes, and that's okay. Okay. These towels, the towels that we have hanging on our stove, they can be decorative. They can be the towel that you put to the side because you have a decorative towel there, and you tell your husband, do not dry your hands on the decorative towel. Use the hanging towel on the drawer. Needless to say, right? So I've been doing up these towels. They're very quick. I have a bunch from this design. The other half of this towel is just, because of course, they're longer and you cut them in half. So the other half of this towel is just the floral design. Then I also have some with the yellow. Now I'm using cotton yarn here, 100% cotton yarn, so that when it's washed, it's going to shrink up a little bit and be nice and tight. So this is what I've been working on. So as I said, they go pretty quickly, and I have quite a few done, but I still have plenty more to do. So I will be hunting upstairs in my buttons, because of course I have plenty of buttons. So I'll be putting buttons on, and what I'm also going to do, Lori Holt has those little crocheted flowers that she does, that you do a covered button for the center. So I'm going to do those, and then I'm going to go and pick up floss and include floss, and then this is going to be my gift. So those of you that are coming to Hobby House and you look for me and you want to sit with me, this is what you're getting as a table gift, right? Who can't use a kitchen towel, right? So I do have quite a few more to do, and I'm using different colors of yarn for the top. But I've been on this kick to do these towels, and this is really what's been taking up time. Plus, I'm working on that heart afghan that I'm making for my granddaughter. So I feel like my stitching is suffering, but it's really not. What's actually happening is that I'm able to start, I'm able to do more. I've talked about my cancer diagnosis and everything that I've gone through, and the mental fog is real, people, right? So I am feeling not just physically, but mentally and emotionally and socially much, much better. And the clarity is back that I feel that, I can do more than one task at a time. And so I had a lot of client orders. Now, as I said, I am a long arm quilter. I have a small business. I also make a lot of memory animals, memory stuffies, bears and dogs and bunnies and dinosaurs and hippos. I have a lot of memory animals that I make for people, as well as pillows and quilts. And I had a lot of orders. And my clients have been so understanding. And I was only able to do a little bit at a time because, in all honesty, I would go down into my studio and I couldn't remember the next step of a task. It was odd. It was very odd. So being able to be in my studio and multitask again, the long arm is running and I'm working on a project over here and then I'm doing something over here. Oh, my friends, let me tell you, I feel like me again. So I don't want to say my stitching is suffering because it's not. I'm able to do other projects along with it, and it is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I wish I could show you some of the pictures of the quilts that I have been quilting, but I can't. I mean, I could, but I like to wait until my clients pick up their quilts before I show pictures. And second of all, I don't know how to edit to insert pictures. So that would have to be a different video altogether. I could take you down into the quilt studio and you'd be like, oh my God, how do you work down here? Because my quilt studio is as scattered as my brain, right? I know where everything is. I can handle it, but it's a little bit of I have one client who comes in and she's like, I couldn't work down here. I was like, I probably couldn't work in your area because it's probably so clean. I mean, it is what it is. That's just how I work, and I'm okay with that. So anyway, so this is what I have been taking when I go babysitting. If we're driving in the car, usually if my husband's driving, I will bring a little small project. So when I'm sitting at night, this is what I've been working on. Or my granddaughter's Afghan, because I've made mistakes on that too. Anybody that does corner to corner crochet, hats off to you, because holy cow. Okay, so now let me just grab a swig of coffee here because I'm getting a little parched. Oh, see my grandma mug? When my son and daughter-in-law were expecting their first baby at Christmas, they gave me this mug, and it said it had the year of when Cole was going to be born. So I've used this as, this is my grandma mug, and I love it. So, okay, let's move on. I also have some very pretty tulips sitting here. Purple is my favorite flower color. Roses, tulips, any flower, it's purple. And as far as roses go, now believe me, I am not a master gardener, but I've been gardening for a long time. My goal every year is to have as many rose bushes as I am old. I am 65. I have to add a couple of rose bushes this year because they've been dying off, or, we have the dogs in the neighborhood that like to tinkle on things, and I have rose bushes all over. So I have well over 50 rose bushes right now, close to 60. I'm going to see what's coming back this year, and I already told my husband, I said, look you know what we're doing this year? Going up the side entrance to my house. I have 3 entrances, back, side, and front. I live on a corner lot. I said, we're going right down both sides of the sidewalk. We're putting in some more rose bushes. Well, I'm putting in some more rose bushes. I said, you're going to till the ground. You're going to till it, and we're going to have roses going right up the side. I have 2 rose bushes on the ends right now, but I am going to extend that. More than likely, most of them are going to be purple. But flower talk for another day. So let me talk to you about my personal presents. So if you are a subscriber, you probably got the Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine. There are a lot of cute things in this magazine, and the first thing that I noticed was that. That is adorable. And then Crochet Go-Go has a really cute stitch in here. I'm going to cover my name and address. Not that it's a problem. I mean, you know what? If you're in the area and you want to stop by, let's go stitch, right? There are, this is Punch Needle, but oh boy, I would love that in cross stitch. There's quite a few very pretty things in here, and yes, this one by Crochet Go-Go, it's called the Stitching Bunny. Let me just turn this around so you don't see the design. It's called the Stitching Bunny. That's really cute. I know it's on the fold, but I don't want to break the spine of my magazine. So if you are a Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher subscriber, you should have gotten your magazine. If you are just an online subscriber, obviously you have it there as well. That is one thing I like about this magazine, is that I get both the paper, and obviously if you have the subscription, you get the online as well. So what else did I purchase for myself? Girlfriend. I think I talked about this. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. Maybe I talked about it to my friend Cindy. The Stitcher's Trio from Primrose Cottage. So I hopped on and got this. And I really enjoy their patterns. They're colorful. They're big. You can see, you can count. Now, usually what I do is I always make a paper copy, because I am still old school. I mark things off on my paper copy. I do have Pattern Keeper. I do use it for my Temperature Quaker. The Primrose patterns I have found, and I have purchased a few Primrose patterns as PDFs. They transfer, but the symbols don't transfer. So I'm kind of on the fence with Pattern Keeper, but still I do prefer paper copy of my patterns, because it's just what I'm used to. You know, I have been stitching for so long. This is just what I prefer. But I can tell you that paper patterns from the 2020, 2025 times are much better than the paper patterns from the 1970s and 1980s, where they had to draw all the symbols in. So along with this, I purchased the finishing kit. Now, I generally don't do that. I purchased the linen. It's actually, hang on, glasses. It is actually the Lugana, and it is 28 count light ash gray. I purchased the sticker. Oops, that's upside down. I purchased the sticker to pop in my book of days. And then it came with, you know, the fabrics for finishing, and it's got the Lady Dot Creates trims, little button in there. I generally don't purchase things like that. Must have just been in a good mood, because trust me, I have enough fabric. But the fabrics that it uses, it's all DMC. It is stitched over 2, because it is on 28 count, so 14 count. So yes, 2 threads. I use 2 threads on 14 count. On 16 count, I use 1. Depending, it really depends. 18 count, I definitely use 1. So I have that, and I'm going to be starting that soon too. Now, I did watch Primrose yesterday, and Lindsay does have the Stitcher rules coming out. What day did she say? I want to say it's next week. So if you get the Primrose email, if you're on their emailing list, the pattern is going to be released at 6 a.m. when the email comes out. I think the email comes out on Thursday or Friday. I can't remember, but it's a really cute. It's stitching rules, so it's like her other patterns. It's really long, and it's really cute. Now, I more than likely will buy the floss for it because they're using cottage garden threads, and I don't believe they have a conversion, but I think I'm just going to try it and get the threads and see how it goes. Because my fear is that if I try to do it in DMC, it's not going to be as bright. And, you know what, in all honesty, I'm going to take a look at it again because I like to use over dyes when there's a larger section to stitch so you can see the variegation and the variation of the thread. If it's small areas that you're really not going to see it, then I would definitely use a DMC. So I'm going to take a look at it again. I did write down all the information, and I do believe it's going to be stitched on the light ash gray as well. And I believe that, you know, there's what they also showed yesterday was they took each section of the rules and they made it into little pillows. So it's really cute. So I can see that on my list. Possibly of purchases next week. Oh, and they also said that their dad is making the frame for it, which will be available on his website. Who else did I watch? Oh, Sarah. I always watch Sarah's Stitchy Spot. Gosh, I love Sarah. I just enjoy so much sitting there and listening to her while I'm stitching. She always has such beautiful things to show. Oh, goodness. Who else? I did not keep track of all of the stitchers that I've watched the past couple weeks. And again, because I've been down in the quilt studio, I don't put YouTube on when I am down in the studio because you know what'll happen? I'll be doing a task and then I'll be sitting there like this watching the TV. So usually when I'm down in my studio, I'm listening to the radio. I don't even listen to my audiobooks downstairs because I can't focus. You know, I kind of go in and out. If I'm designing, if I'm working on a quilt design where I'm setting up the computer design end of it, you know, figuring out, as I have a computerized long arm, so I have a handy quilter and I use Pro Stitcher. So if I have to lay the design out and figure out how it's going to fit and what I need to change, I have to focus on that and not the book or the YouTube. So usually when I'm down in my quilt studio, I'm listening to radio, or sometimes I put on meditative sounds or music. If I'm really needing to focus on something, I will put on soft music in the background because for me, it's a calming agent, right? So the other thing that I have now, I spotted this on a designer website, Leanne's website. I want to say she's 1896, 1897 stitch. I can never remember her specific name, and I did see her at Hobby House Retreat a few years back, and I just thoroughly enjoyed what she had to say. She's up in Canada. She is just a wealth of information, and I will put her information below. She has a great Facebook page. She's very knowledgeable on Canadian samplers. So she showed this book the one day, and I thought, ooh, that's interesting. It is called This Is the Way I Pass My Time, and it is by Ellen J. Gehret in cooperation with Tandy Hirsch, Alan G. Kaiser, and Frederick S. Weiser. And it's all about antique stitchers and how they stitched. It talks about the towels, the decorative towels that they stitched on, primarily that's what this is about, and that's what Leanne had talked about the one day, was her collection of antique towels and how they displayed their stitching. It's just so interesting, and I'm, oh my gosh, they do have some designs in the book, but there's a lot of reference material in here. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Can you imagine? Nope, I can't. So I did find this book on Etsy. And I felt it was worth, what I paid. And some of the other things that I've picked up on Etsy that I haven't shown are some antique samplers. Not antique like that type thing. But they are, I don't have them up here. I didn't even think to bring them. I have them down in the studio. They're the kits that, you know what, I'm going to talk about them in the next video. I'm going to pull them up and show them in the next video. But I do like to rescue old samplers, especially if I'm at like AmVets, or I don't generally go to Goodwill. I go to AmVets because it's closer to me. But the AmVets that I have here is not, it's not really one that has stuff like that. We do have a new thrift store that opened. I haven't taken a drive over there yet because honestly I sit here and I'm like, oh my God. I try to take 1 or 2 boxes every week or every other week over to AmVets for donations. Just cleaning things out, things that I know I am not going to use. And I had I have goals. We all have goals, like at the beginning of the year. Oh my gosh, I'm going to do all of this spring cleaning and everything else. One of my goals this past January, going through treatment and everything else, I said to myself, if you could just focus on cleaning your kitchen cupboards out, that's all you have to do. Reorganize your pots and pans, your plasticware, your glassware, your mixing bowls. I have a thing for mixing bowls. I do like to bake, but so that was one of my goals in January, to help me move through my healing process for cancer. Was I said, I stood in my kitchen and I said, there is no possible way that I can attack all of these cupboards, all of the dishes, and then, the cupboards below where you keep your spices and your baking supplies and all that stuff. There was no way. So I promised myself, if I worked 15 minutes at a time, and it didn't even have to be every day, it could be just on the weekends, 15 minutes, pick one cupboard, pull everything out. And I mean, just, like a 2-door, not the whole wall of cupboards, but open the 2 doors and pull everything out from that small area of cupboards and just go through that. And I did it. It took me probably a couple of months, but I did it. And it helped me with my focusing and making decisions. And I've said this before, I believe decision fatigue is a true thing, because you just think about it. How many decisions do you make in a day? Do you even realize how many decisions you make in the day? Mine comes from when my alarm goes off. Do I want to hit the snooze or do I want to get up? That's where it starts for me. Or how many times can I hit the snooze, right? I am one of those people that if my alarm goes off, I set my alarm 15 minutes early because I know I'm going to hit the snooze. I am not one of those people, oh, alarm goes off, time to get up. No. So decision fatigue for me was a real thing. So I took that time to do that and slowly go through. So I have been taking a lot of things to my local AmVets. And it's been very helpful to go through and realize, what, I really don't need that, or I haven't used it. Maybe somebody else could use it. So on one hand, I do want to go to my local thrift stores and look for stitching that needs to be rescued. But on the other, I say, you have enough of your own stitching that you need to rescue, that you stitched years ago, that you've taken out of the old frames, and that you want to spruce up. And, you know, it's funny because I decorated last weekend for Easter, and I looked around and I said, I don't have any Easter cross stitch. How do I not have any Easter cross stitch? I have a couple of things that I made when my daughter was very little. So those things are 30 plus years old. I have a little boy bunny and a little girl bunny. And I took them out of the frames and I was going to redo them possibly for pillows for Easter or whatever. You know, maybe I'll do that. But there's only one piece that I have that I turned into a pillow for Easter. And there's nothing else. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to go grab it and I'm going to show it to you. Okay, so I stitched this bunny in 1991. And I had framed it. I don't even remember what kind of frame it was in. It might have been a little plasticky wood one, right? So when I was going through things last year, whatever it was, I found it and I said, well, now, let's do something. Let's update this bunny. So what I did was I made a pillow. Oh, this is that. Remember I talked about those Lori Holt flowers that I'm going to put on those towels? This is them, or this is it. So you crochet the flower and then you just cover a button. So I turned my little girl here into a pillow. I literally just bordered it, pulled fabrics from the colors of the bunny. I think that matches very nicely. I did the backing, covered a button. So this little pillow is the only Easter stitch that I have. And that's just not right. But she's cute. So, you know what? Everything old is new again. Literally, this is, you can see my initials down here in the corner. 1991. So, I enjoy rescuing old pieces, even if they're my own. So again, going into like the thrift stores and things like that, I'm trying to avoid that because I'm clearing out. But that's not to say if I don't find a nice piece of stitching or whatever, I'm not going to grab it. But I do have, I'm going to show those the next time. I'm going to show the ones that I have purchased, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with them. I don't know if I want to put them into pillows or whatever. But I do enjoy them because they're, you know what, they're a piece of history. Somebody took the time, and you know what, we know how much time things like that take. And just to honor and respect. And honestly, I do the same with quilts. I have so many antique quilts that I have purchased. Oh my, I am just, oh, I love them. I love them, and I use them. I actually use them, and quilts are made to be used. Some delivery. Excuse me one moment. Well, that package was for my husband. I thought it was my 1, 2, 3 stitch order. Anyway. So, see, and now I forgot what I was talking about. Okay, so I'm going to cut it off there because I am rambling, and in all honesty, it is getting close to lunchtime here. You know what? I forgot to mention, it is Friday, and today is April 4th, 2025, and it's getting close to lunchtime here. It's close to 11:30, so I'm going to go make myself a nice salad. I have a couple of quilts to finish today. I do have a client coming to pick up a quilt order. You know, I've got memory thingies to work on. So, but I do want to show you one quilt here. This piece here. This was a pattern. I believe this pattern was from the Fat Quarter Shop. Might have been in a Sew Sampler box. I did quilt this. It has, if you can see close enough, knocking over the, you can see the flower design on there. I prefer, as a quilter, to do a scrappy back. Try to use up fabrics or whatever. So my back is pieced. This particular fabric was given to me by a friend of mine at work. She doesn't sew. She used to like to, but she was cleaning things out. And she says, "Do you want fabric?" Do you even know me? So I have this quilt sitting here right now because this is nice and springy. And actually, it is, I'm using it as on my dining room table. So it's quite large, but for me, it is a very nice piece to use as some type of a table topper, because I'm all about popping quilts on tables. Doesn't matter to me. So I just wanted to show you that today. I do know that I've kind of bounced all over the place today, and I'm very happy that you've stayed this long. I'm excited today. I received some good health news yesterday. Not going to go into it. Let's just say that everything is getting much, much better. And, you know, when you have good health results, and listen, as a cancer survivor, I don't say positive anymore, because I was sitting right here in this particular chair the day I was delivered the news that I was positive for breast cancer. So I don't say that word anymore when I associate it with my health. What I say is I have good health and things are moving upward and forward, and that's what I'm happy for. So I'm going to leave you here. I am going to hop and make myself some lunch, get down into my quilt studio, and finish off my day. My local botanical gardens has an artesian show tonight, and I'm hoping that my client who is coming to pick up a quilt comes at the time I was told they were going to come, so that I can go to the artesian show tonight while my husband goes bowling, kettling. So thank you, friends. Thank you so much for coming and sitting in my sunroom with me, listening to me chatter. I hope you have an amazing day, a wonderful weekend. Do the things that you love, because you know what, my friends? You matter. You matter, and you deserve all the goodness. So I'll see you soon, and hopefully in a week. Bye for now.